So in this video, I'm picking up where I left off in constructing this rough opening. I'm in the Revit file, and I've eliminated two studs here to leave myself space for the window. Where this is in your wall, whether you shifted it over one stud or to the left or right, doesn't really matter. It's more important that the rough opening size is done correctly. Now what I'm going to do is go to that product literature page for the casement windows. As I was explaining before, the rough opening that I'm working with is going to be 3 feet wide, okay? And I'm also going to do this one right here. It's 30, 36. 3 feet wide is its width, 3 feet 6 is its height. Again, so you can see that there's a correlation between these product numbers and the size of the windows. Okay, so 3 feet 6 high by 3 feet wide is the size that I'm going to go with. And also, just as sort of recap on what this is going to look like when we finish with it. This is another framing detail that's in the textbook. The one I showed you was a little bit different previously. So what we have here is the header. I have one stud that I'm going to leave, and I need to make an opening here. The first member that I'm going to create is going to be this one on the right. So I've got my 3-foot opening plus these jack studs, or sometimes called trimmers. So I'm going to add 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, and I'm also going to be working center to center. So I need to add 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch here to get my center to center dimension. So I should be 3 feet 4.5 in width. So let's go back to the Revit file. And I'm going to basically take this one here, and I'm going to make a copy of it, 3 feet 4. Let's look at this in the south elevation. And there you can see there's this new stud created. Okay, so the space between here, though, is 3 feet 3 inches, because I'm going to have that 1.5 inch trimmer or jack stud and another 1.5 inch member here. But what I'll do before that is construct the header that's going to go into the file. Okay, I need to create a header, and as I had mentioned previously, let's see, let's go to this page, application windows. These two could be done with 2x6 headers. If you're going to be drawing a smaller window, you would create a new header that's 2x4. 2x4 high, but 5.5 inches, or the width of a 2x6 for the width. Okay, so we'll need to create a header that is a 2x6. To create the header, since it's a beam element, we need to go to level 1. Right, and if you go to structure and you click on beam, I've already created a 6x6 header. What I did is I used the 2x4 header that was already in there. Maybe it was a 2x12. Anyway, you can use any of these, make a duplicate of them, edit the type. In order to make the duplicate, you would edit the type, duplicate, and then give it a title of 6x6 header, change the dimensions to 5.5 by 5.5. And again, this member is not a solid piece of 6x6 wood. It's built up out of two 2x6s and then a spacer in the middle. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is draw that beam in place, or that header. In Revit terms, it's a beam, structural beam, and then it wants to go from the midpoint here to the midpoint here. Okay, now I don't see anything because I didn't tell it how high to make it, so I'm going to need to make that revision. And again, the basis for the height will be the header that's running down the middle of the project. So I'm going to my section here, and I'm basically going to take a measurement. The bottom of the header wants to be 6 feet 10 and 7/8. So I'll try to keep the window heads the same height as this header. Let's go back to, let's go to south elevation and see if, yeah, so it's kind of embedded and buried inside here. Okay. So what I need to do is raise it up. What I'm going to do is shift my working section over here a little bit, and we'll go section 2. And you can see down here is where that header is. It's changed my line weights. And I think that if I click on it, what I want to do is change the height, but I believe that if I do 7 feet 10.875, which is the dimension, inches, that is the bottom of the header. So I'm going to have to add probably some dimension to this. There it popped up. Now let's take a measurement and see if we're all the same height. I need to go to this level line here. 6 feet 5. Yeah. So I have to add, I need to move it up 5.5 inches. So I've got 6 feet 10 and 7/8, and I will add 5.5 to, which brings me to 7 feet 4 3/8. I'm going to change this back. 7 feet 4 3/5 inches. Copy that into this. Okay, so it moved up, and I'll just double check the dimension again. To the level. Let's just look at it in the elevation view. There it is. Okay. Now I can start to make copies of these two. So I have check studs, and take that and move it over and copy it over 1.5. Now you can see it's too tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to change the offset. So it says 1.5 3/4. If I use the measure tool, and it's basing it off of level 2. So 2 feet 5 is what that needs to be. I'll click on this again and I'll change this to -2. Oh, and let's see if I can move it. And we can copy. Next, what I'll do is I'll draw it in the sill. Now remember, before we do that, let's take a little measurement here. 3 feet wide, that's my rough opening. That's what I wanted. And the sill needs to be located so that we have 3 feet 6 inches for the rough opening vertically. So I already know that this is 6'10 and 7/8. So what I need to do is calculate, how high this sill needs to be to maintain that rough opening size. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is it's 6 feet 10 and 7/8 to level 1 for the header. I have a 3 foot 6 inch high rough opening, and what I want to try to do is make a copy of this and position it in place and then stretch it so that it's just going between these trimmers. So if I take 6'10 and 7/8 minus 3 feet 6 for my rough opening height, I get 3 feet 4 and 7/8. But since I'm going to copy this, I need to account for the thickness of this. So I'm going to, so the dimension that I want for the top of this is 3 feet 3 and 7/8. So I'm going to click on that bottom plate. I'm going to click on the copy tool, and I'm going to put 3 feet 3.37 inches. Let's just double check. Is my math correct? Or do I need to make some adjustments here? From here to here, 3 feet 6, what I want. So now what I can do is sort of use these arrows and drag them into place. All the way over here and do the same with this one. That one is aligning well. This one needs to be here. Okay, so there's my sill. Now, when I eliminated a couple of these studs, I just basically placed my window relative to this one that's here. But typically, the windows aren't necessarily aligning with the framing members. They should be where they need to be for the design, what you see on the exterior of the wall or the interior of the wall. But what I do need to do is add some triple studs up at the top, and I also need some members below the sill. And those should follow the same 16-inch on center pattern. So I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to make a copy 16 inches on center. I could have technically left this one, but I wanted to kind of clear some space so I could kind of work a little bit more freely. Okay, so if I take the measurement here, using the measuring tool, and I'd already figured this out previously, but just to illustrate, I need to make the bottom of that one 7 feet 4 3/8 of an inch above this level 1 datum. So I'm going to click on that stud, and let's see, the base offset should be 7 feet 4.3. And then I can make a copy of that one, 16 inches over, and I can do a similar process for this one. I'm going to copy it over. So I'm going to make the members that are below the sill 16 inches. For the height of that, I need to measure from level 2 to the bottom of the sill is what I'm looking for. So we'll start here and we'll go up. This height 6.0.5. So I'm going to click on that, and the base, so the top offset is going to be minus 6 feet 0.5 inches. And now that one is ready to be copied. Okay. Right, now, it may look a little strange that it's not symmetrical about the opening, but again, these members need to receive finishes like drywall, and also on the exterior side, some sheathing, and those follow the 4-foot module that is sort of standard for panel materials. And so, the nailing will happen on those divisions of 48. So 16 inches on center, in some cases 24 inches on center. That's why we have that condition. All right, so to create another one of these windows, again, if you're using a narrow one, you could create a new header, or you should create a new header that's only 3.5 inches tall. It would be made up out of 2x4s. Maybe you want to keep the same head height for that window. Maybe you want to, modify that. But the process would be the same of, determining what the rough opening is, both in width and in height, and then, adding all of these additional members to frame out the rough opening. That's it for this part.